All right, folks, this is right before I go to bed. This will be a very interesting topic for all involved that do watch this. I am not posting this one on my Facebook site for various reasons. One, because the topic is definitely salacious in nature. Two, is that I want to see what really goes on, because with this industry, especially the pornography industry, there is so much misinformation, especially when it comes to sex, period. Okay? Sex, period, has so much misinformation that it's hard to even know where to begin with anything. Okay? So we're going to talk about a couple of things about this before we really get started. Okay? Because what we're talking about here is what are the most popular adult movies of all time, at least based on various factors that I have combed through the internet. Sexual research is a hobby of mine. I've always liked the Kinsey Institute at IU. In fact, I'm going to be using some of their research, if you bear with me. I'm going to read some statistics before we get started with this, so you have an idea. This is the foremost. The Kinsey Institute at IU is the foremost in sexual research. There's my cat. Hey, Betty. And we're going to get started with this. So before we get really started with this, let me just point out a couple of things here, okay? And as far as sexual facts, okay? According to the Orange County Business Journal that cites Sex Tracker, ouch, babe, stop, Sex Tracker, she bit me. 70% of all internet porn traffic occurs from 9 to 5 on the workday, okay? 2 in 5 internet users visit adult sites in April, according to tracking by ComScore Media Matrix. Company said 4% of all web traffic and 2% of all surfing time involves adult sites. That was in the Wall Street Journal on August 17th, 2015. Okay? So, as you can see, this is kind of a big deal, and is definitely never really talked about. I don't personally care. I have no stake in anything related to sexual research. I don't pull any punches. What is acceptable for someone, even though I may disagree with it, is okay. As long as it, let's clear something up, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone, okay? And that is first and foremost. So let's clear that up right away before we get started with this, okay? That's the standard I go by. If you're hurting someone else by doing it, do not do it. It's as simple as that. So, let's further go into this then, because what we're talking about here is Taboo. Okay? This is number 3. I found this one at a pawn store a long time ago. I keep it as reference. Now, it claims to be the greatest selling series of all time, which I don't doubt. I really don't. As far as series go, certainly you could say Deep Throat was the best-selling adult film of all time. It definitely grossed its money back and more. There are other ones that have done really well recently in the Silver Age of porn, which was the 90s. Jenna Jameson had quite a few that grossed quite a bit of money, and they were paid quite well back then. They are not paid well now. Which brings me up to another topic, which is why, if you are going to watch pornography, you don't want to watch it through search terms. Okay? And this is a major faux pas, because these artists don't get paid when you do that, because it's illegally downloaded. And, well, to be frank, the legislation surrounding it is not very hard and fast. Even though they have a lot of money, no politician wants to take that on, for obvious political reasons. I mean, there are things like statistics out about rape and pornography, so on and so forth, that make cases for when you watch pornography, you're at least at the very least more aggressive. Now, there's a variety of things that can be said about that. One is that there's a loneliness factor to watching pornography. 2 is that you're releasing testosterone, okay? So that will make you more violent by nature. There's a lot of things that go into that. And you could already be predisposed to violence. Because as it has been said by many articles about violence in television or violence in movies, they don't make you violent. They just make you more prone to be susceptible to violence. Ultimately, it is your decision whether or not to be violent. Okay? Because you're taking in an illegal act which is forbidden by society. And that should be noted. So if you do it, you can blame anything and you can blame the Twinkie for your misfortune, but at the end of the day, you still chose to do it. So that is entirely on you. Okay? Now, when I talk about the Taboo series, okay, I'm talking about what is considered to be the all-time best-selling series, and for various reasons. I've heard statistics that the most searched term in pornography has to do with stepbrothers and stepsisters. So, there are books on these subjects, if you read them, if you're interested. It is definitely going down a rabbit hole. It will make you think twice about society and how you view it, because most people like to keep that information to themselves. How they feel about sex, how things, blah, 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 blah. I can stress that you need to share information with your children, or they will seek out information somewhere else. That is, communication is key in this area, okay? Do not hold back from them knowledge, and do not lie to them about certain things, because they will seek it out through their idiot friends, and that's the last thing you need. So, now I'm looking at the IMDb greatest 101 adult movies of all time, okay? And we have votes here for all kinds of them, but the highest voted ones in the top 20 are Behind the Green Door and the original Taboo, okay? That was what was voted on. They were ultimately not put in the first and second place, but they were definitely voted on quite a bit more than the rest of them. So why is that? Okay? Because it's dealing with things that are not acceptable in society. Behind the Green Door deals with, I don't know if you can call the term she-male anymore. Transgender is probably more the appropriate term. It was one of the first movies that showed a transgender or double-sexed person. So it has its appeal. Again, I'm not putting a value judgment on this in any way, shape, or form. I'm just simply saying this is what the appeal of it is. Okay? And Taboo is the same thing. It deals with the same thing, which is incestual relationships, which is, according to the internet and all sexual research based on pornography, one of the more popular terms that comes up. But these things are hidden by society for a variety of reasons. One is that people don't want to admit what they like, okay, when it comes to that stuff, for fear of public shame and blah, blah, blah. And two, anything related to sex is really hampered on... hold on, I gotta spray my cat. Get! Excuse me, she was biting my cord. Alright, so, there's a lot that could be said about these types of movies. Obviously definitely one of the more popular search terms in sex is teen. Okay, I've looked at many statistics that say that teen search terms or young girls is a very, very popular one. And just the term sex, period. Okay, that leads me to believe that that's a multiple search term, that people are looking for information on it because it is so hidden, and they're just wanting to watch pornography. Yes, babe. You got to be a little bit nicer. Don't be eating my cord, okay? Don't be eating my cord. Thank you. But again, there's a lot that goes into this because there's a lot of heaviness to these types of topics. Stop now. I don't want to spray you again, babe. It's as simple as that. Now you get, or I will spray you again. Now get. Now you know better than that. All right, sorry. I'm not going to try to collude this too much more with her misbehavior. But that's why she is known as the Notorious Betty. To be frank, I would always, if you're interested in this type of stuff, start with the Kinsey Institute. It is the foremost research on sexual behavior in the world. There are several great books that were published by the Kinsey Institute explaining what people like and what they have done. If you're curious about what other human beings do in the bedroom, then this is a one-stop shop. Okay? And I do this in an effort to show a willingness to open dialogue, okay, about things like this, okay? It doesn't have to be salacious. I don't need to be called names or anything like that. I'll just remove your comments anyway. I don't need to be heard about how I'm a demon or anything like that. I don't really care to hear that stuff too. I'll just remove those comments too. And then I'll report you, of course. But what we're trying to do is open up a dialogue about the fact that these things exist in society that that does not want them to exist, so to speak. Okay, I remember working at a video store years ago, and it was very, very common to watch men go through several videos of pornography that were heterosexual, and then the next week go through homosexual pornography. It was very, very common to see, and then they would move on. Now, would these men claim to be homosexual? Absolutely not. But they must have needed it for whatever reason. Okay? So it just proves that people do things in shadows because they don't want to be caught. Well, regardless, it is an interesting topic. And again, I am positive that Taboo is one of the best-selling series of all time because you can just simply look at what's available. On IMDb, it received something like 1,150 votes for number one. And Behind the Green Door was like 1,800 or something along those lines. So, you know, and the rest of them really weren't even close. They were like 50 to 10 votes, because who in the world, in the hell, votes for pornography on an IMDb website, right? That's kind of the idea. So, you know, you have to be very cognizant of that. And I think that speaks to the people's idea of what they like, because you're talking about millions upon millions of people that visit this website, who sign up, and blah, blah, blah. So, and again, this is not an effort to say anything is good or anything is bad, okay? I'm just simply pointing out what the best-selling series and the best-selling movies of adult film have been. Now, the highest budget one was one that came out years ago called Pirates 2, I think, Stagnati's Revenge, something like that. It was a Pirates of the Caribbean spoof. It was a high-budget one, you know, and these things exist. They really do. Whether or not you really care to know about them is totally up to you. I don't really care either way. I just seek knowledge, and in seeking knowledge, I'm ascertaining what is popular and what is not. Again, just because something is popular does not make it right, okay? But just because something is in the shadows and is popular does not make it wrong either, okay? So let's be clear about that, all right? So I'm going to leave you with that, and until again, Auf Wiedersehen.